to another episode of Game Jockeys, the Lazarus Podject. My name's Eric, and with me today is Tyler.
Yeah!
Jared.
Hey.
And we have two other guests. We have Curtis.
Hey.
And Barkley.
Right.
So, last time we kind of talked about E3, went over some of our predictions. Now today we're just going to talk about Marvel and DC. But before we do that, I want to apologize for using Comic Sans in our last podcast. Because apparently that's not a good thing to do.
It is absolutely awful.
So, forgive me, I'll never do it again. I'm a terrible person.
He absolutely will. And it's not even ironic use of Comic Sans. He's just an idiot.
Public shaming is in order.
Yeah. Put it in the comments, everyone.
Yeah.
His personal email is.
Oh, okay. So, Tyler, what have you been doing lately?
Well, last night I played a bit more Ziggurat. Fantastic game, first-person shooter, roguelike. What's not to like? But I watched like 8 episodes of that Daredevil on Netflix. It was good, but it could have been better. Every single thug has to have his head bounced off of a wall 45 times, and then before he goes down, they have to do like a spin kick with some weird angle.
Well, they got to make sure he's knocked out. They got to be fancy about it.
Well, what does a spin kick add?
Okay, let's be honest.
Flair.
It's Daredevil. It's Daredevil. He can't see, so he doesn't really have any powers. So
He
they
can't
got to make
see,
him
so
look.
he has to make himself look.
They got to
good.
make him look fancier.
Echolocation by bouncing a guy's head off the
Well, I mean,
wall.
if he can't see how cool he is, everyone else has to see how cool he is.
I guess that's true, but he sees a world on fire.
I don't know. My favorite, one of my favorite fight scenes in that was the hallway one.
The hallway one was good, but in that one, he goes in critical condition, and every punch drops a thug. And then he goes to
Well,
fight.
there wasn't always a punch. Someone got a toaster to
That
this.
was true. Throwing toes at people is hilarious. But anyways, in that, it's one punch to drop anyone in that fight, but then he goes to fight like 2 thugs in an alley, and it's 45 shots to the head, and the guy's fine.
Well, the alley thugs are much tougher.
They are thugs.
They're on the streets. They've learned.
They've got street cred, guys.
Yeah.
Street cred.
That is a fact about fighting.
Yeah.
When you fight on the street, everyone is much tougher.
That's why Kimbo Slice is so tough.
But I do agree, though, that the Kingpin's development.
The Kingpin has a lot more character development between him and Vanessa, and him being way more like just
Fleshed out.
yes, they did that excellent, which is
Yeah,
really good to see.
I really liked the take on the Kingpin. I thought he was a more interesting character than just some powerful businessman who owns half of Hell's Kitchen and has a whole bunch of thugs working for him.
Yeah,
Yeah, what I really liked how they did the Kingpin is in the same episode he goes on a date with this girl, shows his human side that he wants to care, he has the love and emotion in him. And then 20 minutes later, he is breaking a guy's head off with the door of his car. So it really showed that...
The duality?
Yeah.
oh that word.
No, it showed that he can
pretentious.
be... he can be a compassionate person.
Absolutely.
With also a bit of unpredictability to him.
Yeah, and like that's fantastic. That's good character development where they flesh him out on both sides. Whereas Daredevil's just like, hey, I'm Daredevil.
I'm blind and kick a lot of
Yeah,
people.
I'm a lawyer, and the most character development is when I'm arguing with Foggy.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the only character development, and he's just the same guy back then as he is now.
And that's
But in
kind
the
of,
past.
That's kind of a lot of Daredevil, like, going back in the comics, is his interactions with other characters were more meaningful than just him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Season 1 was awesome because it introduces everyone, and we get to see Kingpin, and then in the future, like, we already know all about Daredevil now, so in future seasons, it'll be what's his relationship to all these other characters.
Well, they have to lay the foundation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I really like... I actually found myself caring more about the side characters than Matt Murdock
I
himself.
cared about Wesley more than I knew I did.
Yeah. and Foggy. And Foggy.
Yeah.
Foggy Bear.
Like,
I was waiting for Ben Urich to show up at the last episode, like, surprise, I'm not dead.
Yeah.
and spoiler alert, skip the next like 5 seconds because I'm just going to mention something you don't want to know if you haven't seen the show. When fucking Wesley dies, I was upset. Because Wesley was awesome.
Did you
He
cry
was-
a little?
Yeah.
He had the fucking inquisitive eyebrow down.
Yes, he did.
He always seemed like he was like, "Is that so, Kingpin?"
Yeah, he had a presence about him too.
Yeah.
That, he would walk into the Russian auto body shop,
Yeah.
talk shit to everyone, and these 12 Russians don't want to lay a finger on him because
Yeah.
they know the power that he actually has.
Yeah, and he can just stroll in, do what he wants, and be like, "I'm out now. Later."
Yeah.
Wesley out.
Drops them. He
Just
just
drops
carries
the mic.
mics. Where's a fucking mic?
Yeah, he was
Drop it.
solid. He was a solid character.
Yeah.
I really liked his relationship with Kingpin too, especially when Wesley died
Yeah.
and the way the Kingpin
Yeah.
handled it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was awesome. They beat the shit out of Francis because Francis deserved it.
I'm excited to see where they're going to go with it. I'm also excited to see them with the new Luke Cage and Iron Fist and AKA Jessica Jones, how they're going to bring them into
Well,
it.
David Tennant is a bad guy. That's enough reason to watch it there.
Well, we're done. Whovians unite.
Doctor Who?
Hello, I'm the doctor. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm the bad guy.
And on a completely unrelated note, I watched the first two episodes of Star Wars Clone Wars. That show's alright.
It was the actual like animated one or the one that was done as
It's like the 3D
yeah.
CG one.
It gets really good when you get
Yeah.
later into it.
Yeah, I've heard that, and it seems like it's alright.
It's kind of childish at first, but as you get deeper into it, it gets a lot more adult oriented.
It's definitely something that took a season or two for it to.
Once you got to
to
about
get traction.
once you got to season 3, it just went on fire.
I'm kind of hoping Rebels goes that way because the first season has been very
Yeah,
childlike.
it did seem very kiddie, and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna keep watching this.
I did like at the end though where they brought Ahsoka back. Cause
Yeah,
I
that
was,
was very cool.
by the way, spoilers. Because they just
You're supposed to
post.
sit there.
Well, she just leaves, and then you have no idea what happened to her, and you're just like,
Have fun in editing.
okay.
Yeah, like it seems like it's going to actually be a decent show, which is cool.
Well, on the topic of Ahsoka, I don't know if anyone's noticed this, but Ahsoka and Starkiller both use the same lightsaber stance, and they're both apprentices of Darth Vader.
Except for Starkiller is no longer canon, according to Disney.
Fair
Yes,
enough.
he's been phased out or moved to a different universe.
Just gonna hide this.
Yeah,
Sweep it under the rug.
the rug's got wrinkles in it. You can't.
Damn you, hindsight!
Yeah, but yeah, like that show seems like it might get better.
See, and
Moving on.
that was the way I felt about Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
Like, when I first started watching it, it felt like a chore to get through the first season.
It was an absolute boring show.
But when
to-
they
to
tied
watch.
in Winter Soldier,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
fucking show just went nuts. Like,
Yeah.
up from there to the end of the season 1, I was hooked. And then season 2, they brought in the Inhumans. They finished off the storyline with the Hydra.
Yeah.
And then they led up into the whole Inhumans with Skye finding out who her parents are, finding out that her dad is Mr. Hyde, finding out that she becomes Inhuman and the real name's Daisy, which is Daisy Johnson in the comic books,
Okay.
who is an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., who has the ability to basically create earthquakes.
Yeah. I feel like S.H.I.E.L.D. as a show was something that started off and they didn't know what they wanted it to be.
Well, they had to build groundwork, right? There was a lot of getting to know the characters. There was a lot of character progression, which was good. It was just there wasn't much else happening in the show.
Well,
Yeah.
I think
Once they started connecting the TV show with the movies, it started picking up a lot more.
I think that the whole show, when it first started, was riding on the fact that Coulson's not dead.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
everyone loved Coulson, and,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you see previews of, welcome to level 7.
Yeah,
So Coulson's back, and I think a lot of people got their viewership up a lot.
absolutely.
Well, the thing about Coulson too is that, like you said, everyone loves him, but I don't think he's a character you could build an entire show around.
Well,
either.
they've done
No.
a fair good job
No, but
with
it can be a
Yeah.
staging point
Yeah.
for a
But
very good show.
I also think they played out his whole Tahiti, like how he came back to life. They dragged it out way too long.
Yeah.
They were some of them were just felt like fillers. I did like the way they brought in Deathlock and a few of the other characters, and they had Lady Sif show up in some cameos. Even Nick Fury showed up.
Absorbing man.
Yeah.
Absorbing Man, yeah. Absorbing Man in the second season. Holy crap. Can't wait to see him show up actually in later on. He'll probably show up in Civil War.
Yeah. I would watch a show based on the guy who was playing Space Invaders on the bridge.
That was
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm all about it.
This is a spin-off of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah. It's just him playing Space Invasion.
That guy from the helicarrier.
getting yelled at every now and then.
And create
Johnson!
tension on how he's gonna hide the fact that he's playing Space
Yeah.
Invader.
Especially when Tony Stark shows up.
Every episode, just a new way of him trying to
I'll
play
tap,
it.
I'll tap, I'll tap.
No, the screen's frozen. The screen's frozen. High score.
Yeah, I'm sad that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is over because it was phenomenal. Like, I'm a big fan of Arrow, big fan of Flash, but out of the three, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. stole the show for me.
It
Do we
definitely-
know when it's coming back?
It'll probably start up next year around September again. I think is when it started up this year, so
Gives me
imagine
time to catch up.
Yes. And I recommend it because the way it interlinks with the shows, like with Age of Ultron, they had the episode that it kind of explained how the Avengers knew where Loki's staff was.
Yeah.
Because at the beginning of Age of Ultron, they're just like, oh, we're going after Loki's staff.
Yeah. It's just another raid.
But at the beginning of the episode that aired before the movie released, actually they explain how they got the information.
Marvel has done a fantastic job of world building between the movies and the actual shows.
And the Easter eggs.
Yes.
Like building up for other shows. Age of Ultron, again, you got the visions that Thor have. That has to do with Ragnarok.
Yeah.
The visions Black Widow have, if you want to know more about her, you got to watch Agent Carter, which builds up on that front as well.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, even as early as the first Captain America movie, some of the glyphs that Red Skull was going over, apparently a lot of those actually have to do with Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, everything he's looking for apparently has to do with Ragnarok.
Yeah. Well, that, like, you see Thanos get introduced, but not, like, overshadowing Ultron like he would
Yeah.
if they actually built on Thanos. They're just like, hey, it's Thanos, he's evil, look at him.
Yeah.
And then they cut back to real world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like how they finally threw it out there and said, here, these are the Infinity Stones. They've been here the whole time.
Infinity Gems.
Either way.
Well, there's still two we
Infinity
haven't seen.
Rock?
There's two. But, you know,
Stones, they weigh 14
people
pounds
who
each.
haven't read the comics or anything,
Yeah.
you know, all of a sudden, oh, really, the Tesseract was
It's a
one.
metric joke.
Loki's staff was one.
Ether.
The red ether. Yeah.
Yeah. And what was the, the one in Guardians?
Guardian
Was the
one,
last
Guardians, yeah.
Yeah, which was actually just a gem.
Which I can't wait for Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yes.
One of the most, I think,
Chris Pratt.
one of the most surprising movies I think that came out of last year was Guardians. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
the characters
For
that
sure.
no one knew
For
anything
sure.
about. I mean, I was familiar with Rocket Raccoon
Yeah.
and Star-Lord a little bit, but
Well,
I
you're-
knew nothing about.
You're familiar with Rocket Raccoons, it's like, it's a raccoon, I'm going to read about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's
Not
other
only-
than that, it's like, who is Groot? Who
Well,
is
not
Drax?
only was it like a great show, but even people who weren't interested in the Marvel universe or superhero movies loved that movie. I know lots of
Yeah, it's
people
fantastic.
who got into it because it was such a great movie.
And I have such a giant risk to take, not only just based off the lack of popularity of the characters, but taking a very inexperienced actor in Dave Bautista and throwing him into a giant role that he had was...
But
Well, he was in wrestling. I mean, that's pretty much acting as it is.
Yeah.
If you've seen any of his movies before that, they're
I think
pretty
Dave Bautista,
awful.
though,
Man with the Iron Fist was the best movie ever.
I don't think it was that much of a risk because I mean, look who was around him. I mean,
He had Chris
like
Pratt,
Chris Pratt,
it-
Zoe
Bradley
Saldana,
Bradley Cooper.
Vin
Zoe
Diesel?
Saldana.
Vin Diesel, who had the like.
They
hard-
must have had him in the recording booth for 5 seconds.
No, no,
Actually,
he
he
was.
recorded in every language.
Yeah,
that they
like-
were
Oh, I know.
to
That
release
was
it.
that's super cool, actually,
Yeah.
to hear that was what
and
happened.
I mean even guy from Castle. I can't remember his name now. Nathan Fillion.
Yeah.
He was in it.
Was in it shortly.
Hey, he's the guy that
How
got
How can
Yeah,
you
but-
forget Nathan
I-
Fillion's name?
I forget random names.
You are the worst human being ever. Just get up.
Yeah.
Get up.
He's the guy Groot beat up in the
And Firefly.
Or
Yeah.
the Forge.
I really
Phil.
like Benicio del Toro
Kiln.
as a collector too.
The Kill?
Yeah.
The Kiln was one
Who
of
I
the-
actually
Oh,
thought was Brad Pitt when I first saw it. I was like, holy crap, they got Brad Pitt in this movie? And then, never mind.
Pitt.
He looks like Brad Pitt.
Who's this Brad Pitt looking motherfucker?
and then they have like the little Easter eggs in there, like, well, I mean, Howard the Duck at the end. So
Yeah.
let's pray for a Howard the Duck movie. Yes,
I know nothing.
Because
about
the first one went so well.
it was the best movie
Let's
ever.
not pray for a Howard.
But the cocoon that Adam Warlock was in was
Yeah.
really cool.
Well, there was even the Dark Elves.
And
was one of
there
them.
has been rumors and stipulation that they're actually going to use Adam Warlock as Star-Lord's dad.
Oh, okay.
Is going
See,
that route.
I remember when it first released, there was rumors that they were actually going to have the collector as Star-Lord's dad.
See, and right now the rumor, what I've been reading and hearing is that they're kind of leaning. There's a lot of talk that Adam Warlock might be his dad because I don't think they're going to use his actual dad from the comics
Yeah.
in the Guardians.
See, and that fascinated me, because, like, I just recently rewatched Guardians, and then they mention his dad all the time, and I didn't realize that the first time. I'm like, who is his dad? So I Googled it, and I got nothing in return.
There is a little bit. There is a little bit about it.
I got no
In
answer.
the new
It's like,
comics,
he's
his
his
dad
dad.
is quite prominent.
Yeah.
Like, his dad is just he's hanging out at a bar, and his dad's like, you stop hanging out in the bar and go be a prince. And,
Yeah, well, it was just like, who is Star-Lord's dad? It's his father.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's
Thanks, Google.
Like, yeah. Oh, gee.
Well,
Fair
even
enough.
Yondu. Like Yondu, I never recognized him until I started like kind of googling more of Guardians and
He's down.
realized what he looks like in the comics, and then I realized I actually recognized him because he has an actual bow and arrow in the comics, and his mohawk is like 9 feet tall. But
And I think that was another slight risk of casting too, because Michael Rooker's a great actor.
oh, he did a fantastic
Yeah,
job.
but it's something that I don't think anyone expected Michael Rooker to.
But he was in
to do.
Walking Dead, and he did fine there. Like, you
I mean,
hated
the
him at first, then you liked him, and then you hated him, then you liked him.
Which was pretty much Guardians, just without all the
Well,
racism.
kind of like John C. Reilly, kind of the same way. I mean, he was...
Well, I don't know if I ever hated John
Well,
C.
maybe I
Reilly. It's
hated,
like,
but, you know...
But at the end, you're like, ha, you got your dick message.
Yeah.
Disney has a really good way of doing the humor in the Marvel movies.
I don't believe anyone is 100% a dick.
And then you got Ant-Man coming out right away.
Yeah.
Which I thought, I wasn't sure what I was going to think of that movie, especially with the casting choices, but the last trailer, I'm actually pretty pumped for it. And I've never been a fan of Ant-Man to begin
I
with.
never thought that anything could make me want to go see a live-action Ant-Man movie.
No. No.
Well, I'm a big fan of Paul Rudd, so I was conducting the hype
You're
train
definitely a
right
big
from
fan.
the get-go.
That's still has to be sold to me. I've never been an Ant-Man fan.
No.
I always kind of gravitated towards Hank Pym's time as Giant Man.
Yeah.
A much more giant role, I
Like
guess.
it big.
Womp, womp, womp.
But I mean, it being part of the universe, it will still be something that I'll go watch because that's the groundwork that they've.
Well, it's nice they're still tying like
Yeah.
every single Marvel movie that's coming out in some way, shape, or form
Exactly.
to the greater.
And you miss one movie, and you miss, like, the introduction to whatever, Doctor Strange, or whatever is happening in Captain America.
Yeah.
And I
when
feel
that
like
comes up.
not enough people appreciate the puzzle that they're building with these movies.
Yeah.
It's such a big project and task to do all these different movies and tie-ins with TV and all of the other
But they're
characters.
building an actual universe.
Yeah,
now.
and
It's like
even
they're a
though
$1 billion
it's-
organization. With lots of resources to throw
Well,
at
I mean,
this.
they've had different writers doing it, different directors, different
Yeah.
producers, different actors, and they've managed to put all these movies and shows together with fairly little continuity.
I know what you're
Continuality?
We know what you're saying.
Continuity errors.
Don't hurt
Yeah,
yourself.
I correct you with a wrong word.
But no, like
Yeah,
they,
in your
they've-
face.
They
Dumb as
built
hell.
this big puzzle without any continuity errors
Yeah.
between the shows or movies, despite having
Yeah, and like
different
they
writers, directors, and everything.
There's an omnibus. I mean, when they have these movie pitch movies, and when the directors and writers show up, it's probably like huge by now. But it's like, this is what we're doing. You have to stick to this as you're doing your movie.
Kind of like how they did the Star Wars books and everything.
Right.
They had the expanded universe.
Yeah.
Are you
Right.
kidding me with the Star Wars movies? Fucking
Books,
Jar Jar
books,
Binks? Who did that get by?
Well, I'm George Lucas
Best
himself.
character of the entire saga.
Well,
Jar Jar
Kevin Feige, who's
In our hearts
the
forever.
producer of all these,
Live on, buddy.
he's been working on apparently on his office wall. He's got up to like 2025.
What I want you to do
Plan.
in editing is put a picture of Jar Jar Binks over my face for the rest of the episode.
And for the rest of the time we ever do this.
I'm gonna buy a Jar Jar Binks
Well,
mask.
You know, another thing, I'm really impressed with the way they're doing it because they do have to make a lot of changes to the movies based from the comics and getting us back on track here.
Sidetracked.
But
Always.
without having X-Men or the Fantastic Four, not having Spider-Man for most of it.
I want Spider-Man to be in the Marvel Universe so bad.
Well, he's in the Marvel Universe now.
They get the rights to him, fine.
Well,
Yeah,
they
sort of.
made a
It's
deal
like-
with
it's
like
Sony.
shared custody.
Okay. I was
Yeah,
gonna say I hadn't heard anything.
Sony
so.
Sony does their own thing. Marvel does their own thing. That's
Yeah.
why they're both recasting
Yeah,
for
and
everything.
they each get their own money for whichever
Oh,
projects
okay.
they do.
I
Yeah.
would
See,
love to see Marvel get the rights back to X-Men
Yes.
and do a
Yes,
proper
also.
X-Men movie.
Yeah.
But Days of Future Past was a great movie.
I mean, they're good movies, but I think
I like the
they
Quicksilver.
feel
in
so
that
different
more.
than the feel of other Marvel movies.
Yeah, they do.
Like-
But I think after we see Deadpool, and when we see Age of Apocalypse, and Hugh Jackman will finally, when he's done playing Wolverine, God knows where they're going to go with it.
Yeah.
I mean, they've gotten a lot better over the years. First Class changed a lot of it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, First Class was kind of the clean slate. Okay, guys, we fucked up with X-Men 3.
Yeah.
And
There was only 2 X-Men.
And Wolverine Origin, but Future Past rewrote everything.
Origin.
So it
Don't
actually
even go
made
there.
it so it's clean, so they can do the Deadpool movie properly.
Yeah.
They've got the Age of Apocalypse, which I'm excited to see regardless. I want to see, the way they're going to take Wolverine's last movie with Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty pumped for those. I mean, I'm not excited at all for the new Fantastic Four movie. I mean, the best part of that whole movie is the Thing right now, and the way he
Doom.
looks.
Doctor Doom's supposed to be a hacker.
Doom's a hacker.
Really?
Yeah, he's just a hacker.
They script everything.
How would you
Literally.
screw up Doom? He's
Well-
one of the coolest bad guys.
He is.
If
and-
just on design.
but he's an internet hacker. He's a troll.
He's like
They're
he's
trying
like
to be hip.
Sonic. Sonic is the
Hip like
worst
Comic
series
Sans.
of games.
Fuck off.
But the fans love it because Sonic is the
Sonic
best
was
icon.
fantastic up until
Sonic was
3.
never good.
Oh shit! It's a throwdown, guys.
It's a game that moves at 45 screens per second.
But there were so many hidden things to find if you just slow down, I guess. But
You can't. That's not. Are you kidding? It's Sonic.
you can walk in the game though.
The screen, you see 5 Sonics in front of you. We'll say we'll measure it in Sonics, and you move at 45 Sonics a second.
It requires
You have to pre-jump and not run into the wall of spikes
I
at the end of
feel
a
like
hallway.
you just don't like it.
I
'cause
don't
you were
dis-
bad at
I
it.
don't, I don't disagree that you could just push forward and just do whatever else and beat Sonic, in 10 minutes. But there was, if you
Except the
wanted to
underwater
expand on it, I mean, there was a lot more you could do.
Absolutely, but the pinball level was cool.
Once they went 3D is when it went
Oh my
to
god!
crap.
Grind rails, baby.
Grind rails.
Although Sonic Generations wasn't too bad. It was.
It wasn't. Yeah,
But
it was.
there's such fine add-ons to that whole legacy as Sonic 06.
Sonic just has to be put
and
down.
then the newest one, Sonic.
What about the time he went to a
Boom.
werewolf?
Sonic Boom?
Sonic Boom.
Sonic Boom.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, when he
And the
became a
time they gave
werewolf.
Shadow
A
Guns.
Oh
werewolf.
god.
Shadow Guns. He was edgy.
Gun-
Yeah, edgy.
I don't
edgy.
care.
Guns are cool, guys.
Guns are cool.
No, at this point they definitely need to put Sonic out of the franchise's
Yeah.
misery.
They just need to. He can be a Smash Brothers cameo, and then other than that, Sega needs to just be like.
I can't even play him in Smash Bros. He's too wiry
I can't
for
pick
me.
up stuff in Smash Brothers. I touch the gamepad and I'm like, over here, over here, over here, over here.
Yeah, he's super cool looking. Like the design is there.
How do we even get on Sonic? Just
We were talking about Fantastic Four and the changes, and then we
Yeah.
got on.
Then the Doctor
we
Doom.
should,
being cool looking.
we're using
Do
comparisons.
some DC at this point in time. We've done a lot of Marvel.
Well, I mean, DC, they've got
I like
their
Batman.
TV shows.
Well, I finally got around to watching Man of Steel last night, finally. I know, 2 years late. But,
It's catching up in time.
going into it, I was certain it wasn't going to be any worse than Superman Returns.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
so
Can't
I
get much worse than
I
that.
didn't have high expectations, and honestly, they didn't spend as much time as I thought they were going to on Clark Kent.
Yeah.
Which I thought was nice because we all know
Well, they've done the origin stories
in Smallville-
everything that they've
was
done.
10 seasons of
Origin
who is
story.
Clark Kent,
Yeah.
So I think we had enough of that. So it was nice they just kind of touched on it back and forth.
He's Superman with glasses.
It was really nice to see Krypton.
Yeah,
finally,
absolutely.
Which
we've
they're
been-
actually making a TV series.
Yeah, which we've been told is all this stuff, but it was kind of nice actually seeing
See it for once. Yeah.
like Jor-El and
Zor-El and
like Zod and stuff like that. I didn't like the guy who played Zod. I'll just put that out there. I thought his acting was just terrible overall.
I'm not a fan of Michael Shannon in anything he does. So,
But
I watched it when it came out. I don't remember much
didn't
about
mind
that
him.
movie other than it's set destruction. The movie.
well, yeah, that's where like 3/4 of their budget went was the last like 45 minutes of fight scenes.
and surprisingly, they didn't need Michael Bay to do it.
Yeah. My only big issue with the movie was the fact that, we in every Superman to come, he's always been Clark Kent and then Superman, and despite being glasses, nobody knew that. But Lois Lane the whole time knows who he is. So
that seems to be a big thing with DC too. Like you look at Arrow, and like everyone knows who Arrow is. The Green Arrow. Everyone knows Oliver Queen is the Green Arrow.
Yeah.
And then you've got the Flash, and there's a whole cast of people there who know Barry is. I still thinking about his name.
I was gonna say Barry Bonds, and he's definitely.
I was gonna say Barry Burton, but that's not right either.
Wow.
But overall, I thought Man of Steel was a good step, and it's gotten me a little excited for Batman v Superman.
I'm not a big
Dawn of
Superman fan, but that movie wasn't bad. I am still holding off on how I feel about Batman vs Superman because I feel like they got way too much riding on one movie. And now they're talking about adding Doomsday.
Too properties to it.
Well, they're talking about adding Doomsday now. So,
why? There's too many characters, too many big name
Did
characters.
we not learn from Batman and Robin?
Yeah.
that was the best movie ever, man. Nice to meet you.
I don't think it's. I think they could handle all these characters.
Well, I think
I
so.
think it's more on the writing and actual directing.
But
of the
it's
movie.
For how much they want to put into that movie. I think in 2 hours or even 2.5 hours, there's too much that's going to go on because you've got Batman versus Superman. You gotta build up that. You've got to deal with Lex Luthor being in there and how he's going to play into it.
Jesse Eisenberg.
Which I actually like the way they're doing his backstory. I think it's kind of neat how he started as a street thug.
Is he mad no one likes Facebook anymore?
Well, he was a street thug that works his way up to being like owning his own thing instead of just being a rich guy who has a god complex. He's a guy who was on the street and worked his way and built his riches and everything.
So he's playing Mark Zuckerberg again.
Exactly. With tattoos apparently. I don't know if they actually took the tattoos out.
My legitimate concern with Batman v Superman is the same as yours with the too many villains. Or too many characters all in other. And I think even Age of Ultron there was a lot of characters in that.
But they handled it
well.
well.
But I think the thing
that's
was...
why I think they could do that with BVS.
But the problem is Marvel's already got these characters. They've already established their universe. They've established their origins. Marvel hasn't done that.
We had a whole
DC
other movie that introduced us to the Avengers. Plus, we had another 3 movies for Iron Man.
And you had TV shows, and you had everything. It was sequential.
And they're doing Batman versus Superman, which is cool. That we're finally going to see Batman and Superman fight and see Batman win because Batman always wins.
But it's gonna be one of two things.
But you've got Aquaman, you've got Wonder Woman, you've got God knows who else. I think the Flash is supposed to be
Hawk Girl,
Green Lantern.
There's like
too much too fast.
There's like 3 minor villains and a couple major villains.
But we have there's nothing established for them because they're not connecting it with their TV series, which I think is a huge mistake.
Yeah.
The DC TV shows have always been far superior than the movies.
Yes, they rock at doing TV shows. Although the last season of Arrow was a really bumpy ride. They did not use Raz as much as they should have. And there was, I don't know, it just felt like it was way all over the place and just nowhere near as good as the Deathstroke story.
I think, because I know they were in talks with Liam Neeson to reprise his Rose al Ghul, and I think that right there could have helped them connect their universes.
Yeah. Well, they could, but at the same time, they've already stated, Batman's never going to be in TV, Superman's never going to be in TV. So they're basically building a Justice League. But, I mean, Green Arrow's a side character, right? He's... a character you can make a TV show.
Yeah, he's B-team.
Same with the Atom being in there. We have the Legends of Tomorrow who's going to have Atom, which Brandon Routh gets another shot at being a superhero. Captain Cold apparently is going to be a hero in this one, so that's kind of weird. They're bringing in Hawkgirl, which is cool to see Hawkgirl come onto the TV show.
Are they doing Hawkgirl or
Hawkgirl.
Okay.
Hawkgirl is in this one instead of they had Hawkman in Smallville.
Well, that's what I thought. Because they were having Hawkman show up occasionally, so I figured
and they've got White Canary, who I'm pretty sure was supposed to be a villain originally, where they basically resurrect Sarah Lance, and she's going to be White Canary instead of Black Canary.
So, yeah.
But from what I understand, White Canary was a villain of Black Canary. But I mean, so is Captain Cold.
Yeah.
Whatever. Which that was something Flash did. They made their heroes cool, right? Captain Cold, I always thought was kind of a gimmicky character. Yeah, he had a cool story and all that, but I mean, he ran around in a parka with glasses and shot an ice gun. They made him seem a lot cooler. They even took the Pied Piper, who was one of the worst Flash hero villains ever created, and made him cool again.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I have no idea who the Flash fights that could actually fight the Flash.
Well, they brought in Gorilla Grodd, which was fucking cool to see.
My only memory of Gorilla Grodd is from Justice League when Lobo is throwing cars on him. He's like, say it. And he's like, Uncle. As he's underneath 47 cars, Lobo's just like, oh, another one.
Yeah.
which is like the greatest.
Well,
Justice League moment.
but they also have half the cast of Spartacus showing up. So, I mean, you've got Manu Bennett as Deathstroke.
Yeah.
You've got the
Deathstroke is an awesome story too.
Yes, they did a really good job. With
Although
him.
his comic book's just like, hey, every page is Deathstroke just killing someone.
Pretty much. They have the guy who took over the role as Spartacus.
Yeah.
When the original actor passed away, he comes in as the Weather Wizard, even though they technically killed him off in the first episode. But they fixed that. They figured that out how they were going to bring him in. Amanda Waller, the girl who plays Amanda Waller, who her name escapes me, she was Manu Bennett's character Crixus's girlfriend in Spartacus, his lover. And now she's Amanda Waller in The Arrow and Flash.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that they're not going to be able to do the Suicide Squad anymore, thanks to the Suicide Squad movie coming out, because they actually had plans to do something with Harley Quinn in the Arrow TV show, but because of Suicide Squad, they're not allowed to do that anymore. So I think DC either needs to let the TV shows do their thing and let them do what they want to do if they want to keep them separated, because they want to keep them separated like that. But they seem like they're cutting the legs out from underneath them. I mean, the day the Flash premiered on TV, which had one of the biggest viewings out of all the TV shows they put out, even bigger than Arrow.
Yeah.
And has been successful the whole way around. Like, I haven't seen an episode of Flash I didn't enjoy. But the same day, they announced who's going to be the actor for Flash in the movies.
They definitely need to do what Marvel does and have that continuity
Yes.
between show and movie. Because if you don't, then it just creates this parallel that's just awful.
Smallville?
Yeah.
That's what they call Smallville, is just a parallel Earth.
It's-
Which I'm
yeah.
okay with. But if you're going to do that...
It's confusing.
Yeah,
it's
it's pointless. It alienates people because it's like, I just don't understand, so I'm not going to go see it.
See, which is why I'm not really on board for the whole Suicide Squad thing.
Yeah.
Because it's like, put the Joker in your mind, and it's like, you see
Heath Ledger
or Mark Hamill's voice.
Mark Hamill.
Jack Nicholson is right.
or Jack Nicholson.
Well, my problem with the Suicide Squad is when I heard it was announced, I'd heard about it over the years, but I'd never actually done anything with it. But I actually started reading the comics, and unless it's going to have an R rating, it's not going to be.
That's the Punisher movies.
Well,
though.
the Suicide Squad is gory.
Yeah.
It's violent.
It's like a Spawn movie.
It's
like a Spawn movie.
Bring back Spawn.
It was a fantastic live action movie.
But I have a feeling it's going to be PG.
I might have to go watch that tonight.
Like, and I love Will Smith, but
Deadshot?
yeah.
Their casting, I'm really finicky about.
Yes.
I don't know how I feel about any of it.
I think Leto's
look, I'm okay with it because we've seen so many different versions of the Joker through the even animated and the comics and everything that I'm okay with a new guy taking up the stand and showing me that he can be the Joker.
Yeah. And unfortunately, Heath Ledger passed, so they have to move on in some way.
Yeah.
And that's just the unfortunate truth.
My issue with the Joker, what they've shown so far, is that he almost seems too contrived. Like, the Joker he's a guy, like, Heath Ledger.
He's an anarchist.
Like, Heath Ledger, you look at him and you're like, oh, he's the Joker, He looks like a guy who's just crazy.
Yeah.
But this guy looks like, it's going to sound weird, but looks like the Joker.
Yeah.
And as weird as that sounds...
Yeah, he's manufactured to be crazy.
Yeah.
Whereas Heath Ledger was...
You felt he was crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah, like he has all the tattoos of like ha 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 and the Joker
But
card
see,
and stuff.
actually, I feel the opposite, and I don't think Ledger's Joker was crazy. He was just a guy who had a plan.
But he didn't look contrived. He didn't look like somebody.
He was
It's
twisted.
like they introduced him wearing a mask to cover the fact that he was even Joker. You didn't even know it was him. You're like, that guy's fucking...
I think that's one thing that has been a big issue with both Marvel and DC is I feel like they're showing way too much in everything. They're leaking way too much. Avengers, they basically showed off all the action bits in the trailers.
That is true. Trailers are... I never
And
watched
Suicide
trailers,
Squad,
though,
it's
so.
like they have pictures every day, new set
And
pictures.
there's already set pictures of Civil War 1.
Yeah, there's stuff,
leaked
there's stuff
already.
all over the place.
But there's so many fans there, and it's gonna happen. Someone's
Yeah,
gonna
when you
leak
film
a
on
photo.
location,
But
a lot of
I've
stuff,
noticed
that's
it's
what's gonna
gotten
happen.
worse
Absolutely,
since
but I mean,
they started getting bigger.
It's so big time now that it's gonna happen.
But it's like Supergirl. The first episode of
Yeah.
Supergirl is leaked. Same thing that happened,
Yeah.
and around the same time as The Flash. So,
It's very true.
is it
I think
just...
Supergirl doesn't even really have hype on it, and it
Exactly.
still managed to leak.
Is it a marketing ploy? Is it something that they're just trying to get out there to get people hyped up? Because people are going to go download this episode,
Yeah.
they're going to watch it, and they're going to make the decision there. Just like when I downloaded the Flash when it leaked.
Yeah.
I watched it. Holy crap!
Yeah, absolutely.
I was pumped. I was so excited, and I watched it over and over and over again until the season came out. Because
It's true.
There was so many things to see in there,
you
and
just
so
want
many little
more.
tidbits
Well-
that just blew your mind. Like,
I mean, despite like you're saying, like the trailers and stuff like that. I mean, Marvel still got a money train going. Like,
Yeah.
those. I'm curious what the Age of Ultron numbers are.
yeah,
Like they surpassed. Like even the pre-sales were just way past what they even had thought.
Yeah, well, so many people just went 'cause it's like, it's the Avengers too.
And I mean, 2 out of 3 top 5 top grossing movies of all time are Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Avengers and Iron Man 3.
Well, Iron Man
Oh.
3 was...
It still made.
it made a lot of money.
It
It
made a lot
was
of money.
But
horrendous.
there is one thing I can say for both Marvel and DC: they have a great lineup of fucking actors for everything.
Everything. And
Jason
both
Momoa
of
is
their marketing
Aquaman.
was genius.
They've got Jason Momoa as Aquaman,
Gal Gadot.
Ben Affleck as Batman, Gal Gadot as or Gadot or however you want to say her name as Wonder Woman.
The Rock.
The Rock is playing. Yeah, the Dwayne is playing
My first
Black
game.
Adam. Right? So you have those guys, and then of course you already know the actors for Marvel, but now you have Cumberbatch
Yeah.
coming in as Doctor Strange, which
Yes.
hype! Get on the hype train, boys and girls.
Yeah.
Right?
It's pretty sweet.
There you've got. There's just so many great actors in all these movies. Tom Hardy apparently is in talks for movies. I know he wants to play the Punisher.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with that.
I'd be okay with
I liked his
a
Bane.
rated R Punisher.
Yes.
It needs to be.
Ryan
He needs to be
Reynolds-
able to put someone's head through a drill press.
And Ryan Reynolds is back
And I
as
think
as Deadpool. So
Deadpool being rated R is going to push the envelope for a lot of
Yeah.
other movies.
Yeah.
but
to
it's
give the
it's
R rating.
also very, very risky.
It is.
It is risky.
Because if you look,
anything that's rated R is inherently risky.
and
Well, you're
it's
limiting your audience.
there's very few movies that have done very well at the rated R, and one of them, the top grossing film that was rated R was Passion of the Christ.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That was
So,
a great movie.
It was a very good movie.
Never saw it.
But
Fantastic movie.
exactly, you're putting a rated R on a superhero movie,
Yeah.
and it's a 50-50 shot on how well it's going to do. If it does well, which I think it does, because there
It's
is
Deadpool.
that, yeah, and he's become a huge mainstream
Yeah,
character,
Exactly.
which came out of really nowhere.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just he has that attachment with people. Where it's like he's funny and he's serious
Well,
and he's insane.
I think
And
I think
breaking the third wall.
the introduction in
He's a
Origins
unique- yeah, he's a
got
unique
people
character.
interested.
Yeah.
So, plus the video game was awesome. I mean,
It
sucks.
was bad.
The
but it
gameplay
was
itself
good.
was bad, but Deadpool himself, Nolan North, was amazing playing
Yeah.
Deadpool. So when they said Ryan Reynolds was coming back,
Yeah.
it bugged me a little bit because in my mind now Nolan North is the voice of Deadpool,
Yeah.
and
Well,
in
it's
my
like Mark
mind,
Hamill in the voice of Joker.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
But I thought before the whole transformation at the end of Wolverine,
they were on the right track.
yeah, like Ryan Reynolds did a good job of Deadpool until they went off.
The first little bit of that movie was like, okay, we got this, and then left turn.
See what they,
Everything's out the window.
what they need to do is have the Joker played by doesn't really matter, and then just have him voiced over by Mark Hamill.
Or-
just
or-
cut all of his
or-
dialogue and then have Mark Hamill do it.
Or Troy Barker. He's been
Yeah.
doing the Joker in a lot
Yeah.
of stuff now too.
He's-
Even John DiMaggio, he played the Joker in the Red Hood.
Did you know that Oswald did the Batman for one of the cartoons?
Patton
Oswald from Drew Carey Show. I don't know his real name.
Oh,
He did like a Batman. You hear him talking like, all I see is Lewis and Oswald. All I see is a drunk old guy living.
That was
above a
but that
bar.
was my same thoughts on Deadpool, getting Ray Park to play the
Yeah,
actual
exactly.
Deadpool and getting Nolan North to do the voices because
And Deadpool wears a mask, so you can do that stuff.
Yeah.
although apparently he takes the mask off in the show, so
he does.
Well, it's just like
pictures.
Venom.
but I mean it's no different than Ray Park playing Darth Maul or the Headless Horseman or
The
Toad.
Headless Horseman.
I mean,
You can't
Christopher
anyone play that.
Walken. Christopher Walken.
Yes, but when he had no head,
Yes,
it was
yes.
Ray Park. And then the first time you actually see Ray Park's face is when he played Toad in the first X-Men,
Yeah.
and then Snake Eyes. So it's not like he's not accustomed to being dressed up.
Yeah, and it's,
With that being said, though, I think Ryan Reynolds is a very important piece to the movie. he's much too big of a Deadpool fan himself, I think, to let nothing but
I'm glad that
success go.
He said the same thing about Green Lantern, though.
and he blew it there. Although, you know
Well, I
what?
don't know if he blew it.
I don't think he blew it. I think it's
No.
more writing. Because I
He
think
was-
he
was
played
yeah,
a
decent
he played a
in
good
Daredevil.
Hal Jordan.
Yeah, he played a good Hal Jordan. Yeah.
And he was even decent in Daredevil. As bad as that movie was, he was not.
Ryan Reynolds was
Or,
not
I'm
in
sorry, I'm
Daredevil.
thinking of Ben
Ben
Affleck here.
Affleck.
I mean, Ben
Totally
Affleck.
different. I was
We
gonna
don't
say
even
that
talk
Ben
about that
Affleck,
movie.
too.
Fighting on teeter-totters.
No, but it's the same thing actually with Ben Affleck and Daredevil, where that movie was horrible, but Ben Affleck was not the reason why.
That's
Not
true.
solely the reason.
No, it was bad, right? I mean,
It was terrible
they took
writing.
they decided to take 7 years of Daredevil comics and go, okay, let's make a movie. So we're gonna have origin. He meets Elektra. She dies. He fights Kingpin. He beats
Nope.
up Bullseye.
Bullseye.
Oh yeah, beats Bullseye. Then takes out Kingpin. Hour and a half. Let's
It
do
was
it.
a lot
But
packed
I
in.
think before Iron Man, I think there was no real template on how superhero movies should be handled.
Yeah.
Blade
So-
did a good job.
Well,
The first
the first
Spider-Man.
one did.
The first Spider-Man. was
Second
Tobey
Spider-Man was.
I like-
The first two. The first two were
first two.
really
I liked
good.
Tobey Maguire.
But I don't
Yeah,
think there
no.
was any expectations. Like, superhero movies were just kind of like, oh,
Yeah.
it's a
Just
superhero
do
movie.
stuff.
They were
Whatever.
garbage movies.
Yeah, just do
to
stuff. We're
begin
not really
with.
going to
Yeah,
follow a story.
and-
We're
Well, yeah,
kind
and
of-
building off like Batman from back in the day. And
Yeah.
Batman's they were all
But then
right.
Iron Man came along, and they had a good script, a
Yeah.
good director, a
It
good
was
story,
fantastic.
a good actor. I mean,
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark.
And they had the stereotypical Black Sabbath Ozzy Osbourne doing
Yeah.
Iron Man
Yeah.
during one of the action part.
And I mean,
at
they
the
set the
start.
template for that, and then after that, the Hulk wasn't bad, Captain America wasn't bad.
Yeah.
You know,
Captain America 1 was awesome.
well, it was.
I don't know if I go awesome, but it
It
was
was awesome.
it was a decent movie.
It's
and
when he got his frisbee.
And I do like how they had little parts from the comics, like when he
Yeah.
was on stage doing the little selling the bonds and everything.
USO
Yeah.
tour.
But then we had all this, and then we had the Avengers, and the Avengers changed everything.
Yes. And even from you look at the Avengers movie to Age of Ultron, how much it's changed.
Yeah.
It's become. The first Avengers almost felt a little bit, kiddie, childish.
Yeah.
And then Avengers 2, they got a little bit more. They stayed with the kiddie humor, but they also added a little bit more adult.
They dealt with a lot more adult topics.
And the characters. The characters played more of a role. Like Hawkeye. You actually got to see Hawkeye do something other than being mind control.
I found the humor in Age of Ultron to actually be more forced than it was in the first.
I agree with that a
Avengers.
little bit.
It definitely felt more natural in the first Avengers, whereas
Yeah.
Age of Ultron, it definitely felt so.
It's like
forced.
we were expecting it, and they kind of
Yeah.
just
Like,
did
Yeah,
it.
they
like-
carried on the whole "watch your language, Captain" joke for
Yeah.
Way
far
too
too
long,
long.
yeah.
Well, that
and
and like,
the hide the zucchini joke, like a lot of it just felt very,
And
very.
the Black Widow and Hulk thing kind of felt to me a little
it came
weird.
out,
out of place.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
Yeah, just like it just was.
It was.
to me, Age
It's
of
like we
Ultron,
should have already known about it, and we had no lead in.
Yeah,
to me,
especially
Age-
especially after Winter Soldier, where you see her and Cap kind of creating that connection.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
but no, to me, Age of Ultron was a lot more talk and less show, with pretty much everything.
That's not true. What about when Iron Man is in the Hulk Buster and he's like, "Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep."
There was some forced stuff, but there was a lot of good humor.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
all the bits
Well,
with Hawkeye.
that's one thing Marvel's good at is the humor not feeling too forced. Like, I mean, if you look at like Transformers, the humor in those movies feels so
Shiloh LaBeouf.
forced.
No
and it's
me,
just
no me.
it's just not funny. Like, you see it and you're just like, I just want to watch Transformers. I don't want to watch
Yeah,
this stupid humor that's kind of forced into this
Yeah.
giant robots kicking the crap out of each other.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
under
the
his
Transformers
giant metal
movies-
ball.
Yeah, like why? Why
that
do
was the second movie. The second movie was really bad for
The,
that.
the Transformers movies, you might as well not even call them Transformers movies because they're not even about the Transformers.
Yeah.
Well, no, the newest one was.
Well,
was
The
more.
newest one did better.
It was.
than
It
the
was.
other
It was.
ones.
I like the newest one a lot better than the older ones.
I thought they were all.
I mean, it had the
Am I-
Wahlberg.
Am I remembering it wrong, or was the old cartoon not mainly about humans?
Yeah, like there's a lot of humans in them.
Yeah.
It was
Like that's what they were about. The Transformers like a side note almost.
I just the newer one I just found they did a little bit better job.
I didn't mind that though, because I remember those cartoons as being good.
Well, no, they still
I might have been when I was,
They
like,
still
8.
focus on the humans, but they show a lot more with the Transformers.
Yeah.
Like you spend more time watching just the humans,
Yeah,
and in the background, kind of blurry, you'll see the Transformers.
Yeah.
Where in the cartoons, the humans were next to the Transformers,
interacting
side by
directly,
side, even during the action bits. Where in the movies, it was like, here's Megan Fox running really slow.
Yeah.
Which we all.
And then you just see, explosions.
As four robots are fighting in the background.
So you don't see any of the coolest
Yeah.
parts. You see the odd one where you see, Optimus and Megatron throw down.
Yeah.
But in the newer one, there was a lot more with.
Well, you see,
actual
like,
Transformers.
Optimus running around with those two fiery swords, like, smashing
Well, I
Decepticons.
thought-
And then the Dinobots come, and then I was disappointed by the Dinobots.
Well,
Because they were
my big
useless
issue
in the end.
my big issue with the Dinobots was that, I mean, Grimlock is twice the size of Optimus Prime easily, right?
Yeah.
He made a good mount.
And I mean, at the end of the movie, they help Optimus Prime defeat
160% ground
whatnot,
speed.
and then he's like, "Go, be free."
Yeah, just
like-
lets him
like-
go in the world.
I mean, at least Optimus Prime and the Autobots can turn to cars and
It seems-
blend, but
Yeah,
you
it
got
seems
these 30
irresponsible.
you got these 30-foot dinosaurs just running
30
around.
foot. You mean these guys are like a couple stories
Well,
tall?
yeah, like but
Swords
they're
is 20
just
feet.
like go, I'm here to protect the humans, but go out and be free, you crazy dinosaur robots, you.
Yeah, because they did not think that through.
It's like
No.
Harry and the Hendersons. He's just letting them out into the wild. Go back to your home.
But to me, that felt really like I think the first Transformers movie was really good, and it was a treat, and it was something new. But then
And
now that we have 4 of them, it's getting.
And all four have been the
And-
same.
Yeah,
more or less.
in the third one, like, there's no relatable Transformers. Like, the samurai guy, you're just like, that's cool, he has a sword. I have no idea
That's
who
the
this
fourth
is.
one.
Whatever the fourth
Oh
one.
yeah, the 4th one.
Yeah.
The fourth one.
Drift, yeah.
It's just like,
I like
unless
the
you
pirate
know
Transformer.
going
Hey,
in,
I love John Goodman in that one.
I think he talked way too much.
No, I thought he talked just enough. I thought his character was
he
awesome.
needed to talk more.
I think
He more
he
of
stole
him
that show.
and less of everyone else.
Exactly. He stole the show.
Yeah.
Are they making a fifth one?
Yeah, they're making like a 5th and a 6th one. I
Yeah.
think there's supposed to be another trilogy.
Also, the fourth one was like an hour and a half too long.
Yeah, it was a little too long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's parts where it's just like, hey, look, what was the main actor's name?
Mark
Mark,
Yeah, Mark Wahlberg.
He
He like gets
Mark
into a
Wahlberg.
crash in the
Marky
middle of the
Mark.
street with a
Marky
van full of like Coors Light or something. It's like, hey, Coors Light, buy this shit.
Well, there was a lot of unbelievable stunts too, and I mean, I'm okay with the suspense of disbelief to a point.
Yeah. But
And
I
then
mean,
it
like,
just-
it was clear advertisement. He's like,
Oh, yeah.
look at me drinking my Pepsi Cola. Go buy Pepsi Cola.
No, that was like Age of Ultron with the Galaxy S6.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's an hour and a half commercial.
or
Well,
pretty much any Sony. and
Winter
their
Soldier
phones.
was a GMC commercial.
That's true.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
stuff like that. That just feels so forced. And
But I mean, they get sponsorships. From
I don't.
it.
But,
yeah, and I
you know what?
understand
If you're
that.
gonna pay attention to that stuff, sure, it's gonna be forced. I don't pay attention to that. I'm more
What's
interested in
what's
everything
the
else
car
that's
they
going on.
use in The Walking Dead?
A Kia.
Well, I mean,
Every season,
It's
they're giving away
spotless.
Kia.
when there's a
It's
shot
the
of
zombie
Winter Soldier
apocalypse.
where
But
an
they have
SUV pulls up and it's like right in my screen with GMC written on it.
Yeah, it's like you can't not
Yeah.
see it unless you like.
Every
What,
car in the
they're
Walking Dead
just gonna get a
universe
vehicle
except
that has
the
no
Kia is
name on
clean.
it?
Maybe. I mean,
Or is dirty.
Yeah.
I mean, they're trying to make it believable, so they're going to use vehicles that
fair
we
enough.
have nowadays. Yes, it's going to be like Transformers. They were all Chevy vehicles, but
But mix it up.
you're
Mix
gonna
it up.
see that
well,
stuff
because
regardless.
the Ford one would just be lying there.
Well, there was one
Getting
Ford.
towed by something else.
Yeah, he can't fight. He just doesn't work.
We here at Game Jockeys have no brand loyalty.
But if you want to sponsor
paying
us,
Yeah.
I like that we did it at the same time.
Pepsi, Coke, Budweiser.
Yeah, yeah. Give us money.
Anyone really?
Yes.
I don't know. In my
Taco time. Give me a deal. I will whore myself for tacos.
I'll do that for free. So,
getting ourselves back on topic.
Yes.
As far as the two go, I think DC has got way too much riding on the Batman vs Superman.
Yeah.
If it flops, I worry that the rest of it's not going to. Are they going to carry on, or what are they going to do?
yeah.
At that point, they have Wonder Woman left,
Like,
and they've thrown out
Well,
the
no-
two biggest properties in Batman Superman.
They've got Batman vs Superman and they got Suicide Squad. That they both come out the same year, but Batman vs Superman also comes out the same day as Captain America.
But I mean, like,
Suicide Squad doesn't have
Yeah.
the same recognition as like Wonder Woman.
no, exactly.
But Suicide Squad's becoming out more and more and everything. You have the animated movie Assault on Arkham. You have Suicide Squad in Arrow and the Flash.
The cast alone for Suicide Squad
Is
going
gonna
to
bring
carry
people
it.
in.
But you have to think
Yeah.
about like a lot of people who go to superhero movies as well might not be from like I mean everyone knows who Wonder Woman is.
Well,
Yeah,
there's I think there's going to be more than that. I think it's going to people are going to go because they have there's this cast they have, and it's got DC's name on it, especially with the way things are. There's so many DC and Marvel and comic book movies all coming out, and so many different things like the Ninja Turtles. How many people went and saw the Ninja Turtles for the sheer fact that it was Ninja Turtles?
Yeah.
Who doesn't know what the Ninja Turtles are?
Well, that's the same with DC. How many people went and saw Guardians of the Galaxy? No idea who they are.
We're not
but they
even
went
started on Ninja Turtles.
I think DC is riding on the success of Marvel based on Marvel has made fantastic comic book movies and shows, and DC just has not.
I think DC's more relying on the names behind the movies.
But they can rely on the success of comic book movies have been popular by Marvel and Batman and Superman. Wonder Woman, yes, they can also do because people like Wonder Woman. She's their third biggest property. I don't like her. I think she's lame and stupid.
Yeah,
I'm an Amazon with
Aquaman every day, boys.
Invincible bracelets.
I can talk to Fish.
I'm pumped for Aquaman, but Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
Some of Fish.
So that's what I mean.
Swift.
DC
And
relies
he's
more on their cast.
strong.
He likes the sushi because
And he's got Poseidon's trident.
And he's broken in Injustice.
He is broken in Injustice. The man can wreck face.
Is he Hook hand?
And
Aquaman or Golden Mullet?
No, he's
That's
no,
the same. That's
he's
the
no-
same Aquaman.
Oh.
The same Aquaman. He's the same.
He's the best
No, he's
of
different. But watch Flashpoint Paradox. Watch
Yes.
Flashpoint Paradox. It'll change your entire opinion on fucking.
Well,
on
Aquaman,
And
yeah.
even if it doesn't, it's still fantastic.
My
so.
vision of Aquaman is from the GameCube game where he has a
Yeah.
flowing mullet, there's invisible
No,
walls
he's-
everywhere, and he's wearing green fish scales.
DC has changed the scope of Aquaman.
Aquaman is apparently super cool.
Yeah.
I will give him a chance.
Like I said, watch if you can take a couple minutes. You've got an hour while you're playing a game or whatever.
Yeah.
Watch Flashpoint Paradox. They still have you have to top it in the animated features because DC wrecks everything when it comes to their animated.
Yeah.
movies.
Oh god, Justice League Unlimited is still like one of my greatest favorite shows ever.
Oh, absolutely.
It's
But even
so
like
good.
their new movies they've been doing.
Like Doomsday.
They did. Flashpoint Paradox changed the entire scope. You've got they brought Frank Miller's The Dark Knight onto
Dark
into the.
Knight is so good.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the Frank Miller thing. I'm not a big fan that they're trying to squish so much of it into Batman versus Superman. But regardless, I'm still a big fan. But Flashpoint Paradox changed it. They brought in the new 52, which some people like, some people don't. But
I like the new 50.
Justice League War was really good. They did Son of Batman, where they brought in Damian Wayne. They explained that story. They just did Batman versus Robin with the Court of Owls storyline.
Yeah.
And they do.
What is the Court of Owls?
They're
I'm so far behind.
They're like a
on that.
secret society that.
Does stuff.
well, I learned not too long ago that the DC cartoons are not really appropriate for children.
No,
they are.
We
They
were
are.
watching on TV. Me and my 5-year-old son were watching Under the Red Hood, I think it's called.
Oh,
Oh
And
god!
I was under the impression that hey, Batman, there's a little bit of violence, whatever, but then Red Hood blows off some guy's head, and there's a big blood splatter.
Yeah.
Flashpoint Paradox is
it's
like
not for children.
is
Yeah,
like
so-
it's here. Everything else is down here, but it goes to here.
Is that on
Yeah.
Netflix?
No, but I can lend you a copy to watch.
Oh, sweet.
I definitely recommend watching it because
It is.
yeah, I was stunned. I was stunned when people are dying there.
Yeah, that sounds surprising.
Like
Quite.
you grow up watching all these superheroes like Justice League
yeah,
Unlimited,
yeah.
and they never really
They kill robots.
they allude to death here and there, but you never see it. And then you watch Flashpoint Paradox, and you're watching like Lex Luthor and all these other characters getting their heads blown off.
Yeah.
You watch Aquaman getting killed or Wonder Woman getting killed or whatever, any of that. It stuns you a little bit. So
And they don't just drop and die.
It's just here, watch. It's bloody. It's going to be gruesome, but it's cool. It's really cool how they do it. And it allows them to get into the new 52, and they do the Throne of Atlantis. So they do the backstory for Arthur Curry becoming Aquaman.
Yeah.
And they actually make fun of him being named Aquaman.
It is pretty terrible.
Because when they're talking about him joining the Justice League, and they're like, well, what should we call him? We can't call him Arthur Curry, so what should we call him? And Green Lantern pops up. Well, they're calling him Aquaman in the newspaper, and everyone's like, oh, I like it. And he's like, oh,
Well, that's kind of they did that in the Daredevil thing too. They're like, Daredevil, that sounds like a stupid name, blah blah blah. And it's like, he's like, it's kind of cool.
Well, I think my favorite Aquaman was in actually in Smallville, where he meets Aquaman. That's
I
not-
don't want to talk about that.
And then he's like, you should join the Junior Lifeguards of America. And Clark Kent makes the reference of, I'm not ready for the JLA.
And then they end up doing it, and I don't want to talk about Smallville and their Aquaman and their terrible Green Arrow.
Smallville had a really good building up, but then their finales and stuff were.
Oh
very
my
good.
God! See the season series finale was such a joke. Oh, we're gonna see him fly and put the suit on from really far away.
Yeah.
And how is he gonna beat Darkseid? Oh, Darkseid's just a big burning planet that he's gonna push into the sun.
Really?
That was the end of Smallville.
Oh god.
Well, that was the
I'm
same
glad
as,
I didn't watch it.
Green
Doomsday.
Lantern.
How he beat Doomsday. I mean, there was no real fight. He just smashed him into a power plant, and that was it.
Yeah, there
We're
wasn't
done.
much. There was a lot of build up
But
to it.
they built up the character a lot, and then it was just like, boom, hey,
Yeah.
power plant, you're dead.
That's unfortunate.
Call it a day, guys.
Well, I feel like Smallville was something they didn't really want to spend too much money on. Because at the time, even then, like, superhero shows and even movies still weren't as big as they are now.
No.
So
Well, absolutely.
I think Smallville is something that
I hope.
paved the way for what we have on TV now, but it definitely had its holes.
I hope.
everything.
I hope with like Arrow that they start actually bringing in like more of Green Arrow-esque style, and less of the I'm Batman, just as Green Arrow. Because that's really what Arrow's been for the last 3 seasons.
Batman.
Oliver Queen has been a brooding bitch, and he whines and complains every now and then. But he's essentially Batman with a bow. I mean, the Green Arrow that I know from the comics, he's a wisecracker. He
Yeah.
makes jokes. So I'm
all he
hoping.
does.
I mean, I love Stephen Amell as Arrow. Stephen Amell is an amazing actor.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of him, and
Great guy, too.
I would like to see them get more into calling him Green Arrow. I'd like to see him actually take on the name in the next season, but I don't know how they're going to do it because at the end of this last season, he hangs up the bow.
Yeah.
He says he's done because they have enough protectors. But
You're
then
never
you've got-
done.
Is he
You're
gonna do
never
it?
done.
Well, exactly.
Is
And
he
then,
going to do an emo strut by the cafe?
well, that's what I want. Like, I want to see. Is he going to come back in a new? Is he going to wear the actual like leotards? Is he come as that the Green Arrow?
I wish they had done the Hawkeye as the old Hawkeye with like the stupid faggy
Fools.
Sorry
Purple
about
suit.
that word. Purple outfit. I love that thing.
It's-
That's how I know Hawkeye. With like this little stick for a bow.
Yeah.
And I like that. And that's Green Arrow. He should be the traditional.
Well, and
Throwback to
that's
it.
one thing I have a problem with too. Is like, it seems like it's really hard for them to give them their names. Give them their
Well, you don't want to
superhero.
also be like just throw it at them. You have to
Well,
do
no,
it in a way that
You got to
makes
build up, but
sense.
we're 3
Yeah.
seasons in. He's still being
Oh.
called just. First, it was the Hood, and now it's the Arrow.
You have to think that a lot of these character names were created in like the 50s and 60s,
Yeah.
where stuff like that was cool.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
well, that and I mean, Green Arrow was based off of Errol Flynn's Robin Hood.
Yeah.
So who nowadays is even
Yeah.
going to know that?
You know, like, Captain Boomerang. I mean, like that name is definitely 70s or
But-
60s.
Yeah.
the
But
Wizard,
at least
the
they-
Wizard.
But at least they had
The wizard.
a way to give them all those guys their names, right? You had Cisco, who was naming the villains these names.
Yeah.
He would name them Captain Cold because he was a fan of superheroes and all that kind of stuff. So he's giving names to these characters and giving them the names. Black Canary's got her name. The Atom's got his name. The only one that doesn't have his name yet is Arrow.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't taken on his name. So I'm hoping in the next season he finally takes on the name Green Arrow and becomes our Emerald Archer.
Green Arrow's not as bad as like I said, something like Captain Boomerang and Commander Cold.
You know what though? They made Captain Boomerang awesome though. He
I know. Well,
was killer in the
I'm
show.
not disagreeing with the fact that they made them awesome now, but I'm saying a lot of their names
Well,
are really cheesy
Yeah, they're-
because
that's
of the era
that's
they
always
came
been
from.
the difference between DC Comics and Marvel, right? DC Comics, Superman,
Yeah.
Batman,
A lot of man.
Marvel. You have Wolverine, you have Thor, you've got Captain America, you've got
Spider-Man?
Doctor Strange,
Iron Man.
Spider-Man, Iron Man, give or take. But
Tin
you
Can.
have some other names. They both have their ups and downs.
Yeah.
But I always situated DC with some more.
DC's always been more.
Stilt Man.
Man, yes.
He was teased in Daredevil.
Yes, he was. You saw his legs, and you kind of met.
legs.
Well, you see
Yeah,
see
I
the
know.
pants he wears,
Yeah.
and you get introduced to the
I want
character.
an honest to
becoming
God Squirrel Girl movie.
Squirrel Girl. But it's funny because DC had the
Canon
childish
the
names,
strongest.
but it always had the more adult-oriented
Yeah,
writing.
I agree with
And then
that.
Marvel had the more adult
Canonically
names,
strongest.
and
Mark Henry.
they
Well,
had.
DC was always like their plots and stuff were always more grounded in reality, despite having like a guy from an alien planet who can stop bullets, But Marvel, their adventures always seemed so much more fantastical than DC.
This is what someone explained it to me. What's the difference between the two? DC is gods trying to be human, and Marvel is humans trying to be gods.
That's
really
cool. I like that.
Of course, there's Thor that you can just...
He's a god.
You know what? When they first announced Thor, I was really worried about how they were going to do it, because I've always been a Thor fan.
Yeah.
And, you're Thor? Yeah, I'm Thor.
I'm Thor.
But, before the recent Marvel
Why
movies...
Why are you Thor? Because
I never really thought that, Captain America, I didn't think he was cool. Yeah, and Thor, I didn't think he was cool either.
I've always been a fan.
I was a fan of Captain America growing up.
Me too.
But Thor, the way they grounded him into the reality, when I first heard, they're going to be aliens from another planet, the first time I heard that pitch, when they were talking about Thor coming out, I was like, oh my god, what have they done? And that was just after watching, Iron Man 2. Did Iron Man 2 come out before Thor, or was it?
I think Thor came out before Iron Man 2.
Was it?
Yeah.
Thor was...
I know. Hulk came out in Phase 1.
Thor 2 came out after the Avengers, I think.
Phase 1 was all the way up to Avengers. The only one that came out after Phase 1 was Iron Man 3.
Yeah, I think 2 and 3 came out after the Avengers.
No. 3 comes out after the Avengers.
2 is definitely before.
Because it went Iron Man, and then it went Incredible Hulk was in there, and I think it was Iron Man 2, and then it was Thor.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually.
Yeah, that sounds correct.
Because it was at the end of the Hulk, was the end of the Hulk, or was the end of Iron Man? Iron Man 2.
End of the Hulk.
Iron Man 2 is Tony Stark.
It was Mjolnir's hammer. Hit, or Thor's hammer, not Mjolnir's hammer. Mjolnir is the hammer. Thor's hammer in the desert.
The hammer for the hammer.
I don't remember which one that was.
I guess we all got to go back and brush up and watch them all in order. I tried watching them all in order, and then I screwed up partway through. Plus, I really didn't want to watch Iron Man 2 again.
Or 3.
3, you know what? 3 was not the best, but I still... My biggest issue with it was just what they did with the Mandarin.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was
and
nuts.
Ben Kingsley is perfect
for the
Mandarin, and they just threw it all away.
Well, I think a lot.
I don't think so, because if you look at the Mandarin, he's more demonish. He's got green skin, for God's sakes.
Ben Kingsley's pretty
I just wanted to see Fin Fang Foom.
Yes.
I was so excited.
That's a sweet name.
And that's it. And then it turns out the whole show was about AIM, which was cool. It was a good way to introduce AIM into everything.
Well, I think a lot of it has been Tony Stark's kind of, I'm a weapons manufacturer, so I'm a horrible person, so I want to kind of make amends for that because I realized what I did. Then he becomes a good person. Then he kind of gets egotistical about it that, hey, I'm Iron Man. And then I think he kind of has a downfall in Iron Man 3, and he realizes that I need to stop being a shithead.
Well, Iron Man 2 was the downfall.
Yes.
Well, Iron Man
Mickey
3...
Rourke as an evil Russian with electrical whips.
Well, Iron Man 3 is when he got really cocky.
I
He's
messed
like,
up, guys.
this is my address. Come get me. And then the helicopter shows up and blows the shit out of it.
Yeah, and then he finally... I know, I liked his development. There's just some things... Now, they weren't terrible movies. They're not like Green Lantern terrible. But, there's some things I didn't like. I hope that they bring the Mandarin into things, but I don't know if they ever will.
Well, there's a rumor going around that the act was actually when he was acting. That the actual Mandarin was who he actually was. He was just acting.
That he'll find the power. He'll find the power rings and be like, "Oh, hey, I could do all of this stuff I was just pretending to do."
Yeah. I've heard rumors of that, but I've heard that for a few years.
It sounds very forced.
But
they could make it work.
Yeah.
But what about all the other movies? We got a Black Panther movie coming out. We've got an Inhumans movie.
Well, I'm excited about Black Panther because we've already seen possibly who's going to be the main villain in the Black Panther movie.
We've definitely seen who.
They
set it up
Ulysses
perfectly.
Claw is right there with the Wakanda brand on it. And he's missing his arm, so he's ready to put on the...
Anything Andy Serkis is good.
All he needs to do is put his vibranium cannon on and he's good to go.
And they gave him what, $60 million times... infinity.
And now we have Spider-Man, so he can show up for
which we're gonna have to sit through another origin story.
Yay!
Can't wait to see
we
how he
haven't
gets bit this time.
Yeah, and who he's gonna fall in love with this time?
Yeah,
all of them.
For all we know, they're just making gay.
Well, I was a lot happier in the Amazing Spider-Mans because they actually did
not
kind
wrong with that.
Kind of the order of events, because in the original, Mary Jane was there, and then later on they introduced Gwen Stacy. But Gwen Stacy and her death was a defining moment in
Yeah.
Peter Parker's life.
Yeah, but
When he accidentally kills her. you
And
know?
they did that perfectly in the movie.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're not going to see another ASM
Yeah,
3.
And don't
Which
get
I
me,
liked ASM 1 and 2.
and I mean, don't get me started on Venom. Like, in that movie.
Oh.
Like, I love Venom,
With
but that
Topher
was,
Grace, yeah.
that was horrible.
Yeah. Which is too bad because Topher Grace is a great actor.
I was.
But that ruined his career.
All
I would just call him an actor.
I don't know. I'd really like to see another dancing emo spiff with
No.
Peter Parker again.
No.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
No, but I think they screwed up Venom hard in that
Yeah.
movie.
Oh, I think that's a unanimous vote on that
They
one.
screwed up everything pretty much
In
with
that
with that
movie. Yeah. Although Sandman was done really well.
Sam was good, but he didn't get enough time.
No.
Yeah.
Well, he like
That
he
was-
was the Spider-Man bad guy. He needs a movie to himself.
And that was the classic. We have too much shit going on in one movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think Doc Ock was done great though.
And you know what else makes me sad is with Amazing Spider-Man, they showed Vulture's wings. They showed
They showed
Well,
a lot of stuff moving forward.
They were talking about the
and
Sinister
nothing.
Six movie, and
now
it was hyped for like 3 or 4 months now. We haven't heard a damn thing about it.
I don't know what's gonna happen now with like Sony and everything.
Yeah.
being
And,
split out.
another thing that sucks is what's his name? I can't think of it. The guy who's Spider-Man ASM.
Andrew Garfield.
Andrew Garfield
Yes.
was a fantastic Spider-Man.
Oh, he was great.
a perfect Spider-Man, but not so good Peter Parker. Whereas Tobey Maguire was a
a good
perfect Peter Parker, but a terrible Spider-Man.
Maybe they need to cast 2 people
yeah, they should.
Yeah.
because you need someone who can be cocky and make the quick one-liners, but you also need someone who's kind
Just
of nerdy
Ray
and
Parks is
wimpy.
every costume character.
Yes, Ray Park is everyone.
Yeah.
I will
that's how I
back
felt
that.
with Christian Bale too. Was a good
Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Wayne,
But
but
a
I did not
terrible
like his
Batman.
Batman. Whereas
How
I thought
dare
Michael
you.
Keaton.
Why you don't
was
like his
terrible
voice?
What about George Clooney?
Where are they?
Uh,
I'm Batman.
But
That's the best Batman voice.
I
How
thought Michael
dare you.
Keaton was a fantastic Batman, but terrible Bruce Wayne. George Clooney and Val Kilmer were just
George Clooney was
Yeah.
the best Batman ever.
Ever.
were just terrible.
How dare you, Adam West?
That's
And Arnold Schwarzenegger, best Iceman ever.
And
best
Caesar
Iceman.
Romero
You mean
was still the
Mr.
best
Freeze?
Joker.
Mr.
Which
Freeze ever.
I
Actually,
stand by that.
that's something else. Is in in the next season of Flash, Caitlin Snow is going to become Killer Frost. So we're going to see Killer Frost show up.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yes. So I don't know. All in all, I'm excited for the Marvel stuff. I'm really skeptical about what's going on with DC. They've got some cool movies coming out. Like, I'm excited for all of them, but at the same time, I'm worried that they're trying to do too much at once and trying to set up too much too fast instead of taking their time and doing their origin stories and building everything up. Because I mean, this is a whole new Batman we're going to meet too.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I want BVS to succeed so much,
so do
just
I.
for how much hate Ben Affleck gets.
Absolutely, and I am pumped to see Ben Affleck because
Yeah.
I'm a Ben Affleck fan. I like his movies.
I've always been a
Well,
Ben Affleck fan.
Like Age of Ultron, like I said, once again had a lot of characters, and it was so close
to be
to walking that line where you have this characterization and then just superheroes, and it was so close to that line. But I think even with the movies building up to it, with that many characters,
Yeah.
we knew who they were.
It was still
Yeah. And they,
very close to tanking.
they
Yes.
still
Yeah.
introduced a lot of
I
characters.
mean, with this one, we're going. I mean, obviously everyone knows Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman and Aquaman, like the basics. But then you're getting all these there's some obscure villains in there too.
Yeah.
Well, I just hope they don't actually put Doomsday and they leave here because he should be a separate movie altogether.
Well, Doomsday is like
Yes.
the pinnacle of Superman's.
Doomsday,
You
there
know,
should be a
hierarchy
full
of
trilogy
villainy.
about fighting Doomsday.
Yeah.
well,
kinda like
now
with
or
Thanos.
just one
Yeah.
movie's good.
It's just an hour and a half of them just slugfest.
Like with Thanos as well. I mean, Thanos has been hinted at as the main villain for a long
years.
time. And finally, in a few years, we're going to see him. But they didn't just go from hey, we're the Avengers to let's fight Thanos.
Yeah, it was.
There was Loki, and then there was Ultron, and then now they're building up.
And now we have the Civil War, which we saw bits of it escalating even
Yeah.
in Avengers, where they're when Iron Man and Captain America are chopping wood, and
Yeah.
they say
Or,
you
or
haven't
Iron
seen
Man and Hulk fighting.
you haven't seen my dark side yet.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And Civil War, now I'm curious on how Civil War is going to go because they don't have a lot of the pinnacle points that make Civil War huge, right? They don't have all the different teams set up. Like,
Yeah.
they don't have
Yeah.
Fantastic Four, they don't have X-Men, so we're not going to see teams splitting up, and you're not going to have that same brother fighting brother as you did in the comics. Spider-Man, we all know him, but he's not set up in the universe yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's going to be hard to care about when he unmasked himself.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
and the
especially
danger.
with who they're casting as Spider-Man.
Well, it's
in
not.
the
It's
reboot.
not even that. It's not even that. It's the fact that the character hasn't been established. We haven't had enough time to
Yeah.
get emotionally invested in what his life has been.
But
right?
but they want to do him as an actual teenager.
Yeah,
Which
well-
I think would be tough to do in.
Well,
in
and
the Civil
in
War
the Civil
story as
War,
well.
he's a lot older. He's married.
Yeah.
He's got his wife.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
got Aunt
They
May.
can't do it with a 16-year-old
It's
kid.
crossing. It's crossing two timelines.
So they're
the,
good. They're good.
the
they're-
ultimate timeline and the
I think
classic,
as long as the
whatever you call
message is still there.
But the message is it's going to be a tough one because they're not even doing like Thor's not even dead. Like, are they going to have Tony Stark? I mean, Thor's gone. He's gone back to Asgard to figure out what the hell's going on. But is Tony Stark still going to make the robot Thor who ends up killing one of the superheroes and escalates? Because they got to. The whole point of Civil War is brother versus brother.
It's been a long time since I read Civil War. Was Tony Stark president at the start of that? Or was
No,
that
he
after?
wasn't. He wasn't president. Or, I think it was afterwards he may become that. But what happens is a new group of superheroes basically go and they take on an enemy that's way too powerful.
They had a reality show. It was the New Mutants.
Yeah, the New Mutants. They end up getting killed, and like a whole bunch of civilians get killed in the crossfire.
Speedball or something
So
like
then
that.
they decide. So they end up deciding to do the mutant registration, or not the mutant registration, but the Superhero Registration Act, where every superhero has to register with the government, and they have to unmask themselves, and then they'll be sent to do tasks based on their abilities. And Iron Man ends up taking a stand with that, and with Reed Richards and a bunch of other heroes, where Captain America opposes it and ends up making the Secret Avengers. And the entire story is you
Why
watch.
would you name them the
Make
Secret
my-
Avengers?
I'll make my own Avengers. Blackjack.
But you see one of the biggest moments in the beginning is Spider-Man unmasking himself in front of everyone,
Yeah.
and he has the most to lose. Right? He's got his wife. He's got his Aunt May. He's spent so much time hiding behind that mask, and then he gets the Iron Spider. And then as things go, things get escalating, and more they paint
Speaking of
Iron
Spider-
Man and Iron Man, and all the and everyone that's following him as the bad guys, and this registration is the bad guys. And then you
big
watch
spider.
as even
It's a good
even
size.
Sorry.
It's very distracting.
Only we can get a camera on that.
and then you see
Sorry.
Sue Storm even leave
walk
out on Reed
Reed
Richards to join Captain America because of how bad things are getting on that end. And there's a lot there that they're going to have to change to give that same emotional appeal, because you're not going to have brother versus brother.
Well,
And I messed up my fictional presence of the United States of America. It's Norman Osborn that becomes president and creates the Dark Avengers.
That's probably why I was a little confused on that one.
well, the thing is, I mean, even with like Age of Ultron, and I've read the comics with Age of Ultron, and the story's completely different, but the general
Message
and kind of the events, even though they happen by different people, are still kind of there. I mean, in the comics, they beat Ultron by time traveling and killing Hank Pym.
Yeah.
You know, and obviously they couldn't do that, but with them missing a lot of properties, like Marvel doesn't have like the X-Men or the Fantastic Four and stuff like that, obviously, because of that, they have to change the story.
Which is, they've been
But
doing such
I
a good
think,
job.
I think the big thing that we get into with Civil War is Iron Man versus Captain America.
Yeah.
I think that's the whole selling point on it.
I think that's probably what they're boiling down
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
Which is good, but it sucks that you're not going to have that underlying, like, all the emotional appeal that Civil War had. Because it was one of the biggest events in Marvel. It was Civil War was the blackest night for DC.
Yeah.
Right? There was a lot of emotion in what was going on. Not saying we're not going to see it in Captain America Civil War. It's a spider, guys. Come on.
It's hilarious because we were talking about Spider-Man. It just crawled out.
Hey, you guys call me?
Hey, guys.
Peter, you're back. He wants to get back fast, guys. You're never going to catch me.
Speaking of time travel and how they defeated Ultron, that's something that the Marvel Universe hasn't put in yet, and they need to at some point soon to put the time gem in. They have to have that element.
Oh, I
Otherwise
guess
Yeah.
for Marvel.
And
yeah.
they could have done that there, I guess, but maybe that was too much in that movie because they already had one stone in that movie.
Well, I have a feeling that maybe in Guardians 2, I have a feeling we might see glimpses of the Omicron crystal.
Yeah.
You know, I have a very strong feeling that they're leading up to that.
And I guess the stones aren't necessarily in stone form. Like the Tesseract was a big cube thing.
The
that-
ether.
Ether.
The red
The
ones.
ether was liquid.
Yeah, exactly. So they can introduce it in a lot of different ways, I suppose,
Yeah.
which is neat.
Yeah.
It's not just like, hey, it's a rock.
Yeah.
I am excited for Guardians too, but that's
Absolutely.
But I mean, I'm feeling that we're going to see the Starjammers.
Yeah.
And, like the Guardians and the Mcron Crystal. That's really exciting. I love the Mcron Crystal. I think it's just badass.
I know it's way off, but I am excited to see the Inhumans.
I know nothing about the Inhumans.
You got to watch the second season of Marvel Agent Shield. It sets a lot of it up. Take your time. Take some time just to kind of read up on them because you got Black Bolt, and the way I always remember was they always have that big like bulldog that's got the little tuning fork in his head. But I mean, it's a long way away, and the fact that Agents of Shield has already started setting up for it just shows how far in advance and how Marvel is working to bring everything together.
Well, what are your feelings on like the 2-part Infinity War?
I think that's a fantastic. Okay. I have 2 opinions on this. I have 2 opinions because
It's awesome.
fuck
and
you.
It sucks.
No. It's cool that they're doing it.
Yeah.
I think it's great because it means they can put lots and lots of time into it to give you everything you want out of the Infinity War. The part that I also hate is the fact that you have to wait a goddamn year between doing it.
Yeah.
That drives me up
That's
the
a
wall.
problem.
And we've been seeing it so much recently as a movie trend. The Hobbit did it. Unfortunately, I have to mention this, but Twilight did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, still,
Harry Potter did it.
Harry Potter did it.
Hunger Games.
Hunger Games.
Yeah.
It's a consistent thing that they do with like the end of their storyline, and I get why they do it.
Yeah.
I understand.
It's like when they push a video game back. It's in the best intention to
Just-
produce the highest quality product. And a movie like that, there's so much content to do in a 1 hour to 2.5 hour movie that they just have to do it in 2 segments, and it does suck.
No,
That's all there is to it.
I just like a
it
short.
just breaks it up.
I would like a shorter release period though.
Yeah, going into it is awful, but going back to it is great
I
because you can
feel
watch
like it'd
it
be
back to
better
back.
if they just delayed it, filmed it all in continuous.
No.
Hold
In
on.
continuality.
And then split it up and then release them sooner between each other instead of.
But isn't that how they usually do it anyways? Is they do all the filming anyways and then split the movie?
I'd imagine so, just in case there's like unseen
But I
delay.
mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they do like all of part 1, take a break, and then go
And
back
then
and
do that.
part 2, which is fine if that's what's happening. But
Well, movies also aren't filmed like from start to end. They're filmed
No.
in sections,
Sections.
random segments, and then chopped together.
But what I'm saying is, I think it'd be better if they made 6 hours worth of a movie.
Yeah.
And then split that up, and then release them, a couple months in between.
But then people are going to be
Yeah.
pissed off. It's like, why didn't you just release the
Well,
whole movie at once? You haven't
No
done
one's
it.
going to sit in the theater for 6 hours.
There's so
They
much to do,
absolutely
though.
will.
I mean, there's so much to do. Like, you've got Thanos getting the gems.
Yeah.
You've got, the Avengers dealing with whatever happens in Civil War.
Potential Guardians showing
Yeah,
up.
well, the Guardians are supposed to be in it.
Exactly.
So they got to get them in there somehow. But I feel Guardians 2 is probably going to lead up to that.
Yeah.
And you've just got, there's just going to be so much going on.
Well, and you've got Captain Marvel, you've got Black Panther who's going to play a part.
Yeah.
You've got Spider-Man's going to play a part, plus whoever else they decide to throw in there too. Because who knows? Daredevil might show up. You might have Iron Fist. You might have Luke Cage all show up in there too, right?
Hey guys, you bring the snacks.
Hey man, I mean it's just more to just build up on that. Plus whatever villains they want to bring in.
Well, I have a feeling Thanos probably isn't going to be the only villain.
Oh, I'd hope
Nebula
not.
is probably going to make a return.
Oh yeah,
I would assume because she's still alive.
I would assume so.
And apparently people really liked her. I thought she was just kind of there, but apparently she had good reviews. Her acting was good. I
A good follow.
I'd give her a solid 6.
I was surprised to find out who actually played her.
Karen
Yeah.
Gillan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that was cool. I think
That is super cool.
I think she did a decent job for what Nebula is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally felt that Gamora was a little okay-ish.
Yeah.
Drax and Groot stole the show, and
I don't know. I thought Rocket was.
Rocket was good.
It's
But Drax, just some of the things they got Drax to say.
Yeah.
Some of his dialogue was fantastic, and I mean,
yeah, just deadpan.
Baby Groot wins it all.
And going back to Dave Bautista as Drax, I feel like they really wrote the role for him. for someone with limited acting experience.
Yeah.
Do you want to just go make out with him? Like, I mean, you've got a man boner going for him already, so.
Which is we accept that.
But
as
I think individually they were all good, but I think together as a unit they really worked well. Like,
Yeah.
just the different personalities.
Absolutely.
They came together really well.
Well, they were supposed to be a ragtag band.
I
and
didn't
that's
even know Bradley
exactly what
Cooper
they
could
are.
voice act.
And who would have thought he could have acted serious too with American Sniper?
That's true.
So
Yeah.
But we're not
But
talking.
could you imagine? Bradley, we need you to voice the role of a talking raccoon who's trigger happy.
Yeah.
How do you turn that down?
Yeah, exactly.
See, 10 years ago, if you went up to someone like that and pitched in the movie, they were like, "No, get the hell out of my
Yeah,
face."
like-
But now you say talking raccoon, but it's a Marvel movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm in.
People are all in.
Yeah,
I need you to voice a tree that just says Groot.
I and M and Groot, and then once you have to say we.
And I mean, and just different fluctuations in your voice. That's about it.
yeah,
Vin Diesel would have signed up for anything.
Yeah,
yeah,
Vin Diesel's a nerd all on his own.
absolutely.
That's why we love him.
he's good stuff.
But I think that's all the time we have for today, guys.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm excited for Marvel's lineup.
Marvel's-
I'm really looking forward to Ant-Man coming out next.
Marvel's money train just
Oh my god.
keeps on.
I'm really excited to see Ant-Man coming up right away.
Good.
I mean,
Yep, excited for Marvel.
Marvel is proof you can throw enough money at something; it will be awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they certainly have the money.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, I mean, if you like what you saw today and you want to, if you think there's any changes you want, you can comment down below or subscribe to us if you like what we're talking about. We put out videos. We try to put out videos at least once a week, every week.
Absolutely.
Every
Every year.
Every year,
Once
guys.
a week, every year.
Once a week,
Just
every-
once. We're
just once.
Real
Yeah.
lazy. Busy.
But again, we're the Game Jockeys, and this is Lazarus Podject,
Follow us on Twitter too @GameJockeys.
and on Facebook.
Absolutely. And
But
this is Eric. Just like you do.
I'm Eric. I'm Eric,
Tyler.
Jared.
and then we have Kurt and Barkley.
As
So
the
we're
guest-
signing off.
as the guest jockeys.